Here's my top do's and don'ts for getting in amazing shape. Now let's start with the don'ts. So if it's something that you can't do for the next 10 years, don't do it now. This is a good gauge of whether this is going to be a fad diet for you or it's going to be a flash in the pan of where you gain your weight, lose your weight. If you can't see yourself doing something for a 10-year period, or it doesn't have a massive education piece that allows you to understand things better in the future, you shouldn't be doing it now. A one-off meal plan that has no changes, just tracking on MyFitnessPal, cutting out carbs, or doing the juice diet, they're all things in which are not going to be done in the next 10 years. So when you finish this diet, what do you go back to? Because the lifestyle that you had before was making you gain fat, unhappy, and probably not in a healthy spot. You do this thing that has no longevity, and then you go back to what you were doing before that was gaining you weight in the first place. It's only going to do the same things as it did last time. So if you can't do it in the next 10 years, you shouldn't be doing it now, unless it has a massive education piece that allows you to understand things to then make better decisions in the future. Low carb, fasting, juice diets, one-off meal plans are not going to get you that place in the next 10 years. Second don't is don't go to the gym to burn calories. You're not there to burn an amount of calories because it's relatively pointless. Because if you go in the gym to burn calories, you're not going to go to the gym for the right reasons. Now, when you go to the gym, if you're burning calories, your Apple Watch may say that you burn 600 calories, but when Apple Watches are out by 30 to 40% on average calories burnt, you're going to be really disappointed when you realize that you're only burning 250 for a workout. And then now what do you do? Let's look at the time utility that it takes to burn 250 calories, or what's going to be a better high yield for you when it comes to burning more calories. One is if you're not sticking to your diet properly, the burning calories in a training workout is fucking immaterial. Because if you burn 400 calories, but you have an extra handful of nuts, you nullify the workout. So what's the point? Second one is 250, 300, 400 calories, arguably for a workout that you do 3 to 4 times a week, versus if you do 10,000 steps, you burn over 700 to 1,000 calories depending on your body weight. So which one gives you higher yield? Which one focuses more on fat loss? The ones that has more calories burned. So you can control how many calories you burn by what you're eating and how many calories you're eating, and then how much steps that you're doing. Your workouts aren't designed to burn fat. Your workouts are designed to build muscle, build joint integrity. For females, it's to reduce the bone density loss that comes from menopause. And ultimately, it's a job for you to get fitter and healthier, cardiovascularly fitter, because we all know from the South Asian genetics is that you are going to be prone to high cardiovascular disease. So having high levels of VO2 max and cardiovascular health is going to be your major priority. And then the second part is that having enough muscle tissue to withstand falls or joint protection, or actually just getting that tone underneath that fat so that when you do reduce the fat from the walking and the nutrition, you're actually going to be left with a physique that you really like to be fitting into a dress, into a t-shirt, and looking the way that you want to. Don't go to the gym to burn calories. It's not worth your time, but actually spending your time investing in what the gym does for you, which is strength training, building muscle tissue, better joints, muscle, bone health, and cardiovascular fitness. They're the things that you should be focusing on when you go to the gym. Now, pro tip is that those who have an attachment to burning calories in the gym or going to the gym to lose fat, when their nutrition is shit, they don't go to the gym because they think, why do they bother? Whereas the key to consistency is separating the two. Nutrition and fat loss is over here. Muscle tissue build, strength, and gym workouts, cardiovascular fitness is over here. Which means that when you have a shit day with nutrition, you can still go to the gym to get all these things. And most people that who lack the consistency with the training, because their nutrition is not on point, or because they didn't lose weight this week, they end up not going and getting the benefits of this because they think that it relates back to the other thing. When you're on a diet, don't restrict eating out or eating your favorite foods to some degree. When you go on a diet, you're supposed to be learning how to diet and keep it off. If you take all of the scenarios and situations that you're going to be in for the next 20 years and you don't learn about them, you're putting yourself in a situation that is going to result in fat gain. Think about this. You don't go on social occasions for 6 whole weeks, right? And you burn loads of fat and you lose 10 kilos, for example. Wow, that's amazing. But let's say, for example, the reason why you gained weight was because you drank like a fish and you ate like an idiot when you went to restaurants. Which means for the last 6 weeks, you haven't practiced any of those skills. You don't know how to pick off a menu. You don't know what the right portion size is. You don't know how many drinks to have before it starts being detrimental. You don't know how to control yourself in those environments, and you haven't practiced it. Well, after that 6 weeks, you go back into social occasions and then you gain all the weight back because you haven't learnt the things that got you fat in the first place. So don't actually move away from socializing and going out. be in a situation where, as during a diet, you're putting yourself in the environment that you suck at. You suck at being social and eating the right things. You suck with other people's influences like mums and mother-in-laws and friends who want to have another drink, or here's another spoonful of food, or, oh, I'm getting dessert. Do you want dessert? They're the situations that are making you fall off track. So if you take them away for 6 weeks, sure, your results are going to be great for that 6 weeks, but you're guaranteeing to gaining it all back because you haven't done the thing that's necessary. Fat loss is a skill acquisition game, which means that you need skills for home, you need skills for social life, you need skills for drinking, you need skills for traveling, you need all the skills to be able to manage all these scenarios, because you suck in one or multiple of them. That's why you're not in the shape that you want to. Because if I looked at a skill acquisition in a different area, let's say, for example, like juggling, I suck at combinations between juggling the hands or just catching and then catching the other one. I need to learn those skills to be able to juggle 1 ball, 2 ball, 3 balls, to be proficient at juggling them. It's the same as fat loss. Fat loss is not down to motivation and discipline. It's down to strategy, tactics, and education. Because once you've got discipline and motivation because you're fat and you want to get less weight on you and you want to lose weight, and you've got all the motivation and discipline you need, you're not thinking about the right strategy or how to do it properly, because that's the key. Is you need to go into these environments and learn better, not absolve them and then gain the weight back up. You don't intermittent fast. Now, this brings back to my first point, which was, are you going to be doing it in 10 years' time? Can you hands down say that you'll be doing a 12-8 or a 16-4 or a 16, whatever it is, for the next 20 years? No. So why are we doing it? Sure, people think there's loads of health benefits, but when it comes to sustainable eating and not eating like an idiot for the next 20 years, which is how you stay in shape properly, is it going to be a suitable method? Now, most people who are watching this video have a poor relationship with food. They don't like being hungry. They justify eating more when they're tired, sad, happy, elated, new job, fired from a job, kids are getting on their nerves, kids have done something good, birthdays, Christmases. There's always a justification for eating more food. So why would we go elongated periods without it? Because it creates those same rationale, right? I tried intermittent fasting and I did a 24-hour fast. And at the end of the 24 hours, I couldn't wait to eat loads of food to make back the calories that I didn't eat before, which meant that I actually ate double what I was supposed to. And you don't teach yourself the habits of understanding hunger and cravings. For females specifically, when I work with people who have lost their menstrual cycle from either too much stress, chronic over dieting, low calories, low body fat, one of the biggest things within the research to reset that hormonal balance is eating more frequently. Think about this. As a female, fertility is key. It's one of the biggest metrics of health for a female. If you go a severe long time without calories, you're not fueling that hormonal system, that physical system, and it always ends in 18 hours of in a deficit. Now, if we know one of the biggest things that cause amenorrhea is like being in large amounts of deficits for a long period of time, you're doing that to yourself. And there's a lot of females that come to us who are fasting and have really poor cycles, or they have really heavy cycles, or they're really discombobulated. And that's because they go long periods without food, massive calorie deficit for 18 hours a day, do loads of exercise, and then for 6 hours they're eating, but that doesn't take away the other 18 hours. Now, for guys and females in general, when you go without food for a long period of time, you increase hunger, you increase cravings, you increase, the ability to want and desire food. Why would you want that on a diet? Why would you want to make it harder for yourself? There's no extra benefit if you, over a 24-hour period, if you hit 2,000 calories, and that was the number you needed to hit, and you ate that over a 1-hour period, or you ate that over a 24-hour period with 6 meals, 1 meal, 4 meal, there is no difference to your fat loss. So why are we making it harder for ourselves? In 10 years time, and I guarantee you, if you've got kids, you're probably doing it with them. You're eating breakfast, or you're giving them breakfast, you're giving them lunch, you're giving them dinner, you're giving them probably snacks. Why are you not doing that with yourself? Like, I can imagine if your kids came to you and said, "Oh, Dad, I want to do intermittent fasting, I want to have 1 meal a day." You'd be like, well, that's a bit stupid. You need energy for school. You need energy to go to the football afterwards. You need a good amount of food to keep you concentrated at work. And you would say that to your kids, but then you would also do intermittent fasting for yourself. It's like, why? The same advice you need to give for your kids, you need to do for yourself. And then one of the do's off the don't is eat more frequently. If you have a frequent source of energy, you're going to be more satisfied, less hungry, more stable energy throughout the day. And then you're not going to have these periods of where you crave more food, you're more hungry, you have dips in energy, which then means that you eat more food. It's going to be simply where you have a more stable base that don't create more desire to overconsume. And the thing with consistency when it comes to dieting is that you need to put yourself in a scenario that doesn't make it worse or use more discipline and motivation. You want to use less discipline and motivation. That's why when I start diets and when I customize them for my clients, is I start at bedtime and work backwards. Because most people are in the evenings, they eat more food in the evenings because they're laid or watching Netflix or they're chilling and they're more hungry. And most people have finished that 6 p.m. thing and think that if they eat after 6, they're going to fucking get, fat or whatever, even though the calorie controlled, it doesn't exist. So when you work backwards and you put a right meal plan and structure in place, you want to have something in the evenings when you're craving more foods, when you're full with stress, your kids are pissing you off, but they've finally gone to bed, you want to decompress, and instead of using motivation and discipline, you just grab a 300-calorie snack and enjoy it whilst you're watching TV, and that's a more sustainable approach. Then you map out what time dinner is, then you can map out what time lunch is, and you can map out whether you're waking up at 6, 5, or 7, and map out what time breakfast or that first meal is. And that's how you make a more sustainable nutrition plan that actually goes with your lifestyle. That doesn't actually mean that you have to use motivation and discipline or have to do fasting for 16, 18 hours and fuck up your hunger and fuck up your cravings. Just keep it simple. The advice that you'd give to your kids would be the advice that you should give to yourself. And last thing is look at calories eaten, not healthy food. You can still not be in shape and eat loads of healthy food, because that's not the game of getting in amazing shape. Getting in shape, losing body fat, which is categorized by getting in shape, is where you reduce the amount of energy that you're eating, so calories consumed, versus how many your body needs on a day-to-day basis, so it uses its own fat stores. Having avocado, nuts, oils doesn't mean that you'll lose weight. It just means that you're having healthier food sources, whatever that means. But if you're over-consuming them, you're not going to get the results that you get or want. The majority of my clients who get amazing results have an 80 or 75, 25, 80, 20 rule when it comes to their nutrition on a day-to-day basis. They have 3 decent meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, where they've got protein sources, carbs, and veggies. And then they have a snack in the evening that is, whatever they want. Because it breaks away from the thought process that the health is the most important part. Healthy foods is the best. When actually it comes down to calorie controlled, and how you use them does impact your vitamins and minerals and nutrition. But eating the right amounts of the food is the key construct for everything that we do. So don't chase healthy food, chase calorie controlled meals.